Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about Namor in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now, obviously, loads of individuals are aware. They've seen the movie. They know that, Namor isn't the Namor the Submariner that we know from the comics. He's completely changed. Now, Ryan Coogler here does his best to explain why that's happened, but it's also not actually true to a certain degree. There's also additional information which I'm going to give you, which will help sort of broaden your knowledge of why Namor is who he is now in the MCU. If, however, you want a Latino's perspective of Namor, head on over to my second channel. You'll find it linked in the description box. It's Mr. H Reviews Live Archives, where I did a live stream yesterday. There's loads of clips from that stream going on the channel. We spoke about representation with Paulie, a Latino who has his own channel, The Latino Slant. And it's interesting to hear someone else's perspective. Now, obviously, he's not speaking for Latinos. That would be nonsense, just like no one speaks for black people and no one speaks for white people. He's only speaking for his own experience as a Latino, but it is interesting. So head subscribe to that channel down below in the description box. You'll like it. You won't be disappointed. So let's check this out. Like I said, Ryan Coogler is sharing how Aquaman affected Namor and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But again, this is only half the picture. And it is interesting. It genuinely is interesting, right? So he says, look, I do think that having Aquaman out in the world, in film language, and being successful in the marketplace, I think it was, a great bit of indirect guidance for us to lean into the things that made Namor different from Aquaman. Just out of respect to the audience, because a lot of people saw that movie. A lot of people love that movie. It was our task to obviously put our heads down and blinders on and make our movie, but also have a sense of awareness of what the marketplace might want to respond to and might be interested in. I think giving people something different, if you can give somebody something good that's also unique, I think it's always better. We wanted to lean into the things that make those two characters different from each other, because they have a lot of other similarities in publishing. Now, during the interview, Coogler also opened up about some of the things that they decided to highlight from the comics to ensure that the character wasn't seen simply as Marvel's version of Aquaman. And he said the following, and I quote, "For us, it was like, yo, you got to wear the green trunks. He's got to have his winged ankles. He's got to be relatively arrogant. He has to be long-lived. He's got to be a child of two worlds, not really fitting into either one. He has to be very confident and very dangerous. And in the comics, Namor can always back up what he's saying." Now, I do think it's interesting that his statements are pretty good. He's Coogler's good. He's diplomatic when he talks about stuff. But I will say, the winged ankles are a bit of a weird addition because, of course, it was Namor the Submariner, Hermes. Obviously, it was the winged ankles of Hermes, so it kind of it's a bit off. It's a bit of a weird thing to include it. They obviously did that because they're trying to bring mutants into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I understand why, but it's not Namor. It was good that they said he's relatively arrogant and can back it up and dangerous, etc. Because that is what Namor is like. But, ladies and gents, the movie rights to Namor the Submariner, what Marvel can and can't do. This is an article on Screen Rant. I don't normally like Screen Rant, but they did a pretty good job with this. So let's take a look, because this is the real reason why Namor was changed. So movie rights to Namor the Submariner have long been described as a complex situation, though Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige and others at Marvel have commented on the matter in the past. Exactly what Marvel can and can't do with one of its oldest heroes has never been explicitly stated. So fans of the character remain hopeful that obviously the Avenging Son, although that's not his name anymore, it's, the Boy Without Love, will eventually have a place in Marvel Cinematic Universe, and of course they've got that now, but it's not the same character. At this point, Namor is arguably the most important character from Marvel Comics never to be represented on the big or small screen, and in fact he would have been one of the first superheroes to have his own TV show, since a Namor the Submariner series was in development for a brief time in the 50s. Since then, there have been other attempts to bring Namor to life, but none have made it very far. So as Namor was one of several characters whose rights were sold to other studios. So this is where we get to the real meat of the matter. It appeared that the only way for a Namor movie to ever move forward was with Universal. But this never happened. So, yeah. Universal, you know, those the same people that are stopping having a Hulk solo movie because they've got the distribution rights to Hulk. If Namor does appear in live action, it will now have to be with Marvel Studios. Here's what well, I'm going to go through it now. Here's the movie rights, basically, and what they can do. So, who owns Namor's movie rights, Marvel or Universal? So, the movie rights to Namor did belong to Universal, who acquired them in 1990s. As of 2013, this was still the case, but in 2014, Kevin Feige offered an update on Namor when he said that Marvel, and not Universal, owned the rights to Namor. However, and this is important, Feige also claimed that entanglements and older contracts prevented them from moving forward on a Namor film. So again, it's that they still own a part of it. So these comments indicate that the problem stemmed from distribution rights. It's exactly the same situation with Hulk, which was still with Universal. In 2016, Marvel's chief creative officer Joe Quesada reiterated that Namor is back with Marvel, but what are the distribution rights? In 2018, Feige admitted that the situation with Namor was still complicated, which suggests that at this time Marvel still didn't have complete control over the property. So, yeah, no distribution. So can Marvel use Namor in a solo movie? Yes and no. This is the situation as to why we got him changed. So Namor the Submariner is typically high on the list of movies fans want to see from Marvel, as an anti-hero, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. If Universal still holds distribution rights to Namor, there may be no Namor the Submariner film in the MCU anytime soon. His situation could be similar to the problem with the Hulk, if the deal between Marvel and Universal regarding Namor is the same as the Hulk deal. Hulk is in the MCU, but because the distribution rights belong to Universal, Marvel can't make a solo Hulk movie, which is why Hulk is limited to supporting roles in the Avengers movies and Thor Ragnarok. Now, the issue with this, and they add to it being complicated, and why they've waited so long to include Namor, and why it was so changed and different, I would say is because Universal, I believe, own potentially the name Namor the Submariner, and elements of that character. As to why we can now get Namor and it be basically the same but basically different is a similar concept to Star Trek and the rights to that has to be a 25% difference. That, ladies and gents, is the current situation that we have with Namor, and actually the real reason why everything was changed, believe it or not. It's not through altruism, that's for sure. And not, again, specifically because they were trying to move away from Aquaman. But again, Coogler did a pretty decent job. But let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it.